Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Katie Worthington Decker, and I am the President and CEO of the Greater Winter Haven Chamber of Commerce. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's virtual Lunch and Learn on the changes to social media. And I think you're going to have a lot of interesting stuff to delve into today, and something even as a former PR and marketing director for an advertising agency, it can be very difficult to understand the various changes that come along with social media. And so having a little bit of insight into that today will be, I think, helpful to us all, and also new information from Pew Research on social media behaviors and things of that nature. So we are excited to have with us the crew from Central Florida Media Group. We have Morgan and Nelson joining us from there. And so without further ado, just a few housekeeping items before I hand over. You all are entering and are on mute. Please stay on mute unless you have a question. I will be monitoring the chat window. So if you have a question, feel free to drop it into chat. If our presenters today speak for a moment and then pause and ask any questions, if you want to unmute yourself and ask the question, you can do so, or drop it into the chat window. So we'll try to keep our eye on that as much as possible as we go through today's webinar. And of course, today's webinar is being recorded and will be put up on the Chamber's YouTube page after we are done. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Morgan and Nelson.
All right. Thank you, Katie. It's our pleasure to be invited to do this today, and thank the Chamber for that opportunity. I see a lot of friends on the Zoom here I guess it's this afternoon now. So it's a lunch and learn. So I wanted to let you know that I have my lunch and here's my drink. And so I hope all you guys have your lunch. Okay, I don't want to take you away from lunch. You guys work all the time. So anyway, thanks for having us, Katie. Thanks for having us, the Chamber. I want to introduce Morgan Driggers. She's with Central Florida Media Group. Hi, say wave hi, Morgan. Morgan has been with CFMG for a little over a year now. Came to us. Her undergrad was from UCF, Go Knights, and got her master's in digital marketing as well. So we're fortunate to have Morgan on the team here, and really is an expert when it comes to social media and digital marketing. And so last June, Apple announced the iOS 14 changes that were coming, and they actually started launching last September. But soon you'll see these changes hit if you are doing Facebook advertising. And today we're going to predominantly talk about Facebook advertising because that's the one that's mostly utilized, and that'll take up a good part of the time itself. And then, as Katie talked about, we're going to come back around and talk about the Pew Research, PEW Research Center report that was released last week, April 7th. It's brand new, and it's got some readership trends and some cool info on what some of the new social media platforms are doing. So we'll cover that at the end and try to take your questions. So with that, we'll get going. Morgan, flip to the next one for me. Okay, but first off, a shameless plug. This is what we do. Central Florida Media Group, you probably know us for the magazines that we publish in the health and medical sector and in the agriculture sector since we began in 2010, if you can believe that, March of 2010. We've expanded in a whole bunch of different areas. I don't know if she's on the call, but we have our managing editor, Jessica McDonald. We call her the Queen of Content. Not only does she, her and her minions do the magazines, but we also produce a lot of content for other folks' blogs and e-newsletters and social media and so forth. We have another fellow that does website design and development that is on staff here, and even have gotten into video production. If you want to see any of that stuff, go to our website and check us out. So that was under 30 seconds, Katie. So don't throw a flag on me. All right, next slide. All right, so the iOS 14 update on Facebook. Like I said, they announced that last June when we were all hunkered down in our basements, and it actually started rolling out, but it's going to affect your advertising across a lot of channels, but we're here today to talk about Facebook. So if you've ever worked in Facebook's ad manager, some of you probably have, and some of you probably haven't, and you'll know that your conversion events and things like pixels are what you use to get people to your website, and when they go to your website, you know that they've been there. Your ad knows that they've been there, and you can get data and feedback on what's working and what's not working, or what's kind of halfway working. Also, if you advertise on mobile apps, it will affect your ability to optimize and target your ads. Niche targeting is very much a big part of what we do here at CFMG. Most of our clients have very narrow folks that they're after, or they have specific personas of customers that they're after, and this is a cool way to get to them. It just makes our job a little harder with the iOS 14 update. So in short, the new policy is that it prohibits data collecting and sharing unless you get permission to do so from the user. So let's go to the next slide. All right, so if you see if I can move this over here a little bit. If you have any of these phones here, any of those, then you are going to get a pop-up that looks like what's there to the right from Facebook that asks you for your permission for Facebook to track you. And if you ask the app not to track you, then you won't be included in the database for what Facebook uses to help target advertising. So it's going to happen on your phone. You can see all the different phones that will impact right there, and it won't be able to track your behavior. That may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing. You know, if you like getting Bass Pro ads like I do, then you know I probably wouldn't have a problem clicking to allow this. But from an advertiser's point of view, your conversions aren't going to be as accurate as they were before, at least not initially. Your targeting options certainly aren't going to be as robust as they were before. And a good metric to track is your CPM on your ads, and you'll see your CPMs more than likely go up. A lot of people have these devices. All right, Morgan. So as I said, your ad audiences will probably decrease. Now there are ways to attack this. Morgan's going to go over some of the nuts and bolts of this here in a minute, and it's pretty interesting stuff. But again, if you don't grasp everything she's going to go through today, we'll be happy to show you. Just we're right here in downtown Winter Haven. There's something on the back end called a web event. Those are going to be limited, where before there were over 80 to choose from. Now you can pick like 6. So that's been drastically impacted, and your campaign numbers may be counted differently. So a lot of times we'll measure what's going on with our campaigns now compared to maybe the campaign last year or last week or last month. Well, all that historical data isn't going to mean as much because the new data is going to be different. Okay. The other thing is it's required now that you select a domain to measure your conversions, which isn't a huge deal for what we do for our clients, because we usually recommend that anyway. So Morgan.
Nelson, can I ask a question? Just real quick, kind of
No.
a kind of a background question. So over the years, it has been discussed about if you are a business on Facebook, using ad managers and running paid promotions in some way, shape, or form can help you in the world of Facebook algorithms. And obviously, because you're paying, it's getting your message in front of an audience that you are selecting. But in general, for the businesses on the call that may or may not be running paid advertising, is it true? Is there truth to the myth that if you are putting money into Facebook, your general organic content may be seen more, or just to kind of add a little bit of context or background?
It's no myth. So a paid post on Facebook will get about 10 times the readership as an organic post. Where it makes your future organic posts that much more popular is as people like your paid post, and they end up liking your page, they end up following you more, and so your organic post, because of the algorithms, are going to pop in to their news feed more often because they liked your paid post.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And so a good question, but no more. You only got one. I take that back. You ask as much as you want. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Morgan, and she's going to run through some of the nuts and bolts behind this, and then bounce it back to me. So Morgan, there you go.
Thank you, Nelson. So like Nelson said, we aren't sure when the iOS 14 update will go into effect, but we do have a few ways for you to prepare for that. So to plan around the update, so when you create conversions campaigns in Facebook, the goal of the algorithm is to kind of learn and optimize to drive more traffic and whatever action that you're going for. Usually it's people driving traffic or engagement, but it's kind of going to learn about how to do that. And when you create campaigns that aren't using conversion objectives, so kind of stick away from that. If you notice in the picture, the little circle, try to use those traffic, engagement, and messaging campaigns. Usually the ones we kind of work with are more of the traffic and engagement to kind of get people to your website and things like that. So you're probably already doing that anyways, but just kind of maybe stay away from the conversion. And then you can also create custom audiences for retargeting purposes. So if you're on Facebook and you see an ad and you click on it, that ad will most likely pop up again. And that's kind of from that retargeting purpose. And here are just a few steps to prepare for the updates. So in your app, you should update your Facebook to the newest version, and it helps with more personalized ads for users, as well as the conversion events in your Facebook Business Manager. And then there's two things you should do to prepare, which I will also cover. One, like Nelson said, is to verify your domain on your website to avoid disruption with your campaigns. And then also now you can have 8 conversion events instead of, like Nelson said, there was 80 before. I think now there's maybe 25 or 30 you can pick from, but you can only have 8 per domain. And before the update, they turned off some of like the conversion events that they aren't available. So your ads, if those conversion events you're using are turned off, then your ad will also be turned off. And in this picture below, it kind of just shows the different conversion events that I will talk more about, but these are just one we did for an example client.
Now, let's see. Go ahead, Morgan.
Oh, you know, you're good.
Yeah.
So the first step to do would be to verify your domain. Your domain is kind of like the homepage of your website where you want your audience to go to. So for us, it would just be centralfloridamediagroup.com. And there's 3 methods to do that in your Facebook Business Manager. You could do that through adding a DNS text to your domain. You can upload an HTML file, and if you look in the bottom picture, when you click on each of those, whichever way you want to do it, it gives you instructions on how to. And then you can also do a meta tag to the head section of your domain. That's the one we did. I feel like that's probably one of the easier ones. And all you do, if you're looking at the bottom picture, you kind of take that code and you put that into the back end of your website in the head section, and then wait about 24 hours or so, and then you just verify it. And I did create a video.
Oh, hang on, let me jump in here, Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
So before you play the video, 100 out of 100 times live demonstrations go wrong. So instead of getting the Microsoft Update pop-up window during our live demonstration, Morgan pre-recorded some of the nuts and bolts that go into this on the back end. So with that, I'll pass it back to Morgan.
So just a quick video on the steps to verify your domain in your business manager. Hopefully you guys can see this.
Yeah, I can.
That you need to do is go into your business manager account that's linked to your Facebook page. So it's just business.facebook.com, and we're going to be doing Central Florida Media Group as our example. So one of the first things we need to do is verify our domains. So how you do that, you're going to go, I usually will go into the settings. And then if you go down to brand safety on the left and then click domains, these are just some of the other accounts we do manage, but what you're going to do, you're going to click add, and then you're going to enter in the domain to associate with your business, and that would be Central Florida Media Group. So I'm going to copy and paste that in here, and I think you take off the HTTPS. Add domain. Now this is how you verify. So what you need to do, you can do either a meta tag verification, HTML file upload, or DNS verification. What we're going to do to verify ours, so we're going to do the meta tag, and you're going to take this little section and copy it, and then I would go into the back end of my website and go, you're going to add this to the head section of the domain page. And then I would kind of wait 24 hours, and then you can click verify once it's in your website, and then it will pop up here, verified.
Let's see if I can go to the next screen without it playing again. Oh, there we go. Okay. So after you do that, the next step is to do your conversion API, which is also known as server to server. So this is kind of setting up your web events in your business manager. And what that does, it allows advertisers to set up those events directly to Facebook, whether it's viewing content, having leads, search, page views, whatever your advertising goals are, you can kind of do that based on that. And the events are linked to your pixels, so it will measure, report, and optimize your campaigns. You can track and connect customers through your KPIs. The pixel shows the user's journey throughout like the buying cycle, and then the API shows your end result of what they've done on your website, whether it's buying something or adding to cart, things like that. And then the aggregated event measurement, it processes those events from the iOS 14 devices that opted out of sharing that to help optimize and understand the efficiency of your campaigns. And then I also created a little video as well on how to do that. There we go.
Okay, so once we verified our domain, it should say verified right here in the left corner for Central Florida Media Group. Now we're going to configure our web events. So you'll click this little buttons in the corner, the little dots, go to event manager. And then make sure you go down to your pixels. So we're doing Central Florida Media Group. And then we're going to go to the aggregated event measurement and then configure web events. So what you're going to do, it will have 0 right here. You're going to manage events. and it ranks by priority. So you're going to make sure you click on your pixel. And then these are all the different events you can choose from, whether it's viewing content, searching on your website, purchases, leads, add to cart, add to wish list, complete registration, contact, donate, different ones you can choose from. You can add up to 8. I chose 5 that kind of relate to our advertising goals. So once you go through, you're going to add each one, add event, and then it just pops up right here. And you can choose up to 8. And then you're going to do submit and click I agree. But I already did it, so it will only let me submit if I add a new one. And then you're going to go back to your pixel, and it kind of just shows once you start having activity, it will kind of show up here, and then it will show you the different pixels and conversion APIs you use. For example, like this one, we have page views, content, search, lead, all these, and it shows you how active they are with the total events that are used. But that's pretty much all you have to do.
Hey, Morgan, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So with those, that is allowing the individual business to follow where that individual or the success of essentially the conversion to where they are on the website, on your home website.
Yep. So like if you have a retail business and someone kind of adds something to cart, but that's where they end it, it should show you that that's like the number of people that stopped in the cart. And then if you want purchases, it should show you the amount of people who have actually purchased something through those different events that you create. Okay. And Nelson?
All right. Thanks, Morgan. So all this is affecting the how the logarithms work. And so we thought we'd take a slide here and explain how they work. And so Facebook takes every post that they in your network, and they score it based upon several things, but it discards posts that the user is kind of unlikely to engage with. So as you go through your Facebook page, your personal Facebook page, just think about that for a minute. If you see misinformation or clickbait, and we've certainly had a lot of that in the last year, it tries to weed that stuff out, which sometimes that makes a lot of news, but it definitely is happening, and it demotes that kind of content or won't accept it at all. Rather, what it does is it tries to promote what's more popular in what you as the reader like, and it scores that higher. So we have a good example here. This reader likes to watch chess video tutorials, but the reader is 95% more likely to give pictures of their brother or sister's puppy on Facebook a heart reaction. So what do you think Facebook's going to serve up to this reader in the future? It's going to be puppies. All right, not exclusively puppies, but maybe every third or fourth post. I'll give you a prime example. I have 2 golden retrievers. They're awesome dogs, and they both came from the rescue service. So you put a golden retriever picture up, I'm going to like it. So every third picture in my feed is that of a golden retriever, which ain't so bad. And so anyway, that's how it decides what you're going to see. And it arranges a nice cross section of things, not 100% that, but it will follow along what you've liked in the past. All right. So 10 tips this is from your business page. When you get something, a question from your audience, make sure you respond to it. When you get a question through Messenger, if you're not going to be on there all the time, make sure you set up an autoresponder. Some of our retailers will set up an autoresponder when it's non-business hours and try to talk to that customer, and in some cases refer them to a phone call or something like that. But make sure your autoresponders up and running on your post. Aim for love, not just likes. And so what I was talking about on the puppy post, not necessarily suggesting you do that for your business, but quality content trumps just volume of content. Okay. Happy Monday might have worked 10 years ago. It doesn't now. So post when your audience is online. Here on the East Coast, it's going to be between 6 a.m. and midnight. So not only that, if you're posting and then you're advertising that post, understand that Facebook can take anywhere from 10 minutes to 10 hours to approve your promoted post. So give yourself time. There's lots of tools for this type of thing that you can also leverage to schedule your ads and then promote them after that. You can skip the logarithm altogether by using Facebook stories. That's why sometimes you may have seen somebody come through Facebook stories on your page that you haven't seen in years. And all of a sudden, Uncle Joe, who you haven't seen in years, pops up because he's doing a Facebook story, and it comes through your feed there. So that's a way to get out there too. Of course, tend to your branded Facebook site there. We know that you go to some businesses, it hasn't had a post on it since New Year's Eve or something like that. If that's going to happen, just take it down. Let's see, go live on Facebook. This certainly happened a lot more when this feature was new, but particularly for those in retail or selling something off the shelf, this is a great tool to use to show people your store, what you've got new that's in, positivity and promoting the values of what you have to sell. It's a good tool. Make videos that people want to watch. What I just went through on that is a great example. Also, DIY videos tend to do pretty good. So if you're an expert in the service sector, know that it's okay to show people what it is that you do, just like Morgan and I are doing here, knowing that in a lot of cases, folks are not going to want to do it themselves. They may hire you to do it, but they're going to like that you were able to show them what to do if they wanted to do it themselves. I don't know if all that made sense, but that's hopefully you know what I'm trying to say. Don't post clickbait or misinformation. That's kind of obvious, but we'd slide it in there because we've seen a lot of that in the past year. And then expand your reach via your best advocate. So if you've got a business page, and invite your friends to like it. They already like you. Why wouldn't they like your business? So make sure you invite them to like your business page. All right. So on April 7th, the Pew Research released this really cool readership research that they did. And on here, what you can see is the most popular platform on the planet, social media platform, is YouTube. You can see there where it's gone up in the last year, or actually since 2018. Think about streaming YouTube to your television now. We really weren't doing that back before 2018, and so 81% of you out there are looking at YouTube every day. Facebook is at 69% still, by and large, the very most popular platform over a long period of time. But take a look at what's happened since 2015. That's a flat line. Facebook isn't growing. It's just kind of staying where it's at. So Interesting note, Instagram's up to 40%. Remember, Facebook bought Instagram. We're going to, on the next slide, when we get into it, we're going to show you who the readers and the participants on Instagram are. That's pretty cool stuff. This number I thought was a little low. LinkedIn's at 28%. I'm on LinkedIn every day, but I respect that a lot of other folks aren't. So LinkedIn, which is the B2B channel, is at 28%. Believe it or not, I have a Snapchat. That's because I have a 22-year-old, so I want to see what's going on. And that's 25% of that. This Twitter number was at 23%. I thought that number was going to be a lot higher, but it's not. And then take a look, if you can see that line down at the bottom where it's like a steady slope up, that's TikTok. Okay, and we're going to talk about TikTok in a minute. But if anybody's ever been on TikTok, it's addictive. So anyway, let's go on to the next slide. Cool read. Oh, and if anybody wants a copy of this research study, just send me a note, or Morgan, and we'll be happy to send it to you, man. I geeked out on this stuff. It's really cool stuff. All right, so how many folks visit these social media sites on a daily basis? And this is where Facebook takes the cake. They 49% go to Facebook several times a day. The net, of course, was 70%. Snapchat a lot higher than I thought it would be, 40. And I guess that's so they can go see what's going on. If somebody sends you a snap, you want to see what it is. So 59% over there. Instagram, we saw that's a growing channel over the last 5 years as a segment, and that's going up. That's particularly popular with 30s and unders. Okay, while Facebook is an older audience. YouTube, we saw where the YouTube usage was way up there, but on a daily basis, it's not as robust. Okay, so you may be slinging to your TV from YouTube, but maybe not every day. Okay, and then Twitter, we saw where the overall usage of Twitter was lower than we thought, but the daily usage nudges it ahead of some of those other platforms that we were looking at a second ago. All right, so let's talk about TikTok for a second. Like I said, it's addictive. My son Cooper told me about TikTok, I don't know, probably a year ago, and went on there. And then I was talking to him about that this week. And he said, "That's weird. You go on there and you something got your attention. Next thing you know, it's 3 hours later. You've been watching TikTok videos, and you just stream from one to the next." You can see there that 50% are 18 to 29-year-olds, 400 million monthly users. Now, what's so incredible about this, TikTok has not been around a long time, like 18 months, guys, 400 million monthly users. So it's all a very positive environment. And I think I think you can use TikTok as an advertising tool if your message mirrors the ecosphere that is TikTok. If your creative on that needs to be spot on to match kind of what everything else is fun and innovative on TikTok that happens with those videos. You can be very nichey with that. Hashtags are easily found. Good value proposition there. Again, your content needs to mirror what you're going to find there, and you need to interact with your followers. You will get some feedback on stuff. Next. Now, Morgan, let's see. Somebody asked us to talk about Clubhouse. I had never heard of Clubhouse before. And so Morgan is actually going to talk about this, and she was probably going to talk about TikTok, but I got on a roll. So
No, you're good.
anyway, Morgan, I'll bounce the ball back to you because I don't know a lot about Clubhouse. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Clubhouse, it's a new app. It's kind of like an audio app to have live conversations. I haven't really used it either, but I did some research that I did find was interesting. So it's kind of like a cross-platform between podcast and having conference calls. So how it kind of works, you enter, I guess, a room in the app, and you can have up to 8,000 people to discuss different topics that you choose or that someone else has chose, which is cool. So it is fast growing, but it's by invite only. So it's kind of like a networking opportunity. And how it works, so you're going to track down an invite from someone, and then you can create a profile, but it's just your picture and a short bio. I don't think you can have any business links or anything like that. And you'll follow people on there to expand your network, and you just join a room or start a room, and you spark up conversations about certain topics that you're interested in. So I kind of did a pros and cons list for this app that I found. Some of the pros, it is a new and exciting app. It's mostly for people, not brands yet, but it is growing. There are influencers in those rooms that you can talk with and kind of partner with. And then the loyalty and usage is impressive. And then, of course, some of the cons, like the numbers aren't there yet. They're not sure. It will definitely probably take a year or so before they can kind of get an idea if people are using it more. It's ad free, so that can be both a good and bad thing. One of the pros, you don't have to listen to ads, but then a con for advertisers, you can't share your ads. So lives on there take a lot of effort. People are complaining about the privacy policies on there. And of course, with any social media app, there can be sometimes hate speech and misinformation. And then also another thing that I didn't realize was having those live conversations. It's probably difficult for people who are in different time zones and languages. I'm sure eventually they'll probably work through those kinks, but those are just some of like the pros and cons that I did find from this app. And then here are just a few statistics that we did find as well with these apps. So of course, Facebook, there's over 2.7 billion monthly active users, and it's a great opportunity to reach your target audience. Twitter, it has about 330 million monthly users, and it's more of a great tool to help your search engine results and reach media professionals. Instagram, it's more about posting pictures, and that has over 1 billion active monthly users. And it's very popular with people who are more of like 18 to 29 years old. And then LinkedIn, like Nelson said, it's more B2B, and it has over 675 million business professionals who use it monthly. And it's a great way just to build relationships and build your network and make connections. And then I do have some references as well. I can send you more on the iOS 14 updates and different things like that, as well as our Pew research we can send you as well. And any of those videos, if you guys want, just let us know. We can email it to you as well and help you out.
All right, thank you, Morgan. Again, I'd like to thank the Chamber for inviting us to do this. We are located right on the park in downtown Winter Haven, in front of the fountain. Our office is pretty recognizable if you've been downtown, and if you want to come by and see us and have us kind of show you this, some of these steps to help out, it'd be our pleasure to do it. Morgan, thank you as always. You're great assist, and Katie, thank you and the Chamber and everybody there for asking us to do the Lunch and Learn.
Sure. So I do have a few questions, a couple kind of basic ones. So with questions we get from small businesses a lot, and obviously the website you showed us, the business.facebook.com, in particular was the ad management side. But one question we get a lot is, okay, I have a link to my Facebook business backend, but then I also can post via Creator Studio, and then I can also post just by posting, live. So obviously Facebook's gone through a couple iterations where your business page looks different, and it asks you if you want to schedule posts. You now have to do that through Creator Studio or the business backend. Is there any rhyme or reason on which tool a business should be using to post, and what's really the difference between Creator Studio and the business manager?
We really use the ads manager because the targeting tools are more robust.
Mhm.
And you can, everybody's business has a persona that they want to put their message in front of. And you can think very wide scope. For example, Instagram are 30s and unders, but it's even more narrow than that. And so the strongest tool that we found to be able to specifically target certain individuals to have this flow through their news feeds is the ads manager.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you can also still schedule your posts to Facebook and different things like that using other websites. But we did find that using Business Manager to actually target and to create your campaigns is a lot more effective.
Mhm. One thing that we find at the chamber, but a lot of our members look at as they collaborate with other businesses, is when you post something that says Central Florida Media Group in partnership with Central Florida Healthcare will be hosting, et cetera, right? And when you go to publish that, it asks you, this looks like it could be a paid promotion or something along those lines. And it asks you, would you like to publish with or without a tag? Is there any pro or con to doing that? Obviously, it happens on almost every single one of our posts because we're constantly saying, sponsored by this, or Union Tap Room is partnering with Haven Coffee Roasters for a new beer blend. So is there any rhyme or reason to that?
Morgan, you want to take that one?
I would say, I mean, it's definitely beneficial to tag that person because it shows awareness. So if someone's on your page and they see that, it will show brand awareness for that company as well. So then they can click on them, follow them, different things like that, as well as vice versa. If someone's following the other person you're doing the partnership with, and they like, oh, okay, they're working with Central Florida Media Group, let me go on their page and kind of see what they do and things like that. So it just kind of helps build that engagement with your posts.
Okay, and one last question from a YouTube, Facebook perspective. So I feel like it used to be that when you posted a YouTube video to Facebook, it would actually kind of integrate to where the YouTube video would play. But I feel like since Facebook came up with Watch, that's different. It posts as a YouTube link versus just kind of playing the video. So from getting reach on your video, is there any, do you need to post it twice, like have it on Facebook in terms of the watch and post the video on YouTube? Or I guess it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to drive people to your YouTube page, or if you're just trying to get reach on the video, post it twice. Do you have advice to anybody in
Yeah.
terms of how to manage that?
Yeah, Morgan can talk about the nuts and bolts and how to do it, but you definitely want your video to autoplay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and not just be a link. So when people are scrolling through their Facebook, and as soon as they scroll past that video, there for a split second that thing's auto playing. That's incredibly important. And there's a trick to getting that done, Morgan.
Yeah, so what we kind of do for clients, they do have YouTube pages, so they'll post like the video to YouTube. You kind of take that link, and then there's like another website we use, or you can also probably do it in your video settings if you do download it. But we use a link, and we kind of export that video to autoplay, and we share it to our Facebook, and it does automatically do that. I'm sure there are other platforms to use, but the one we do, it's like Y2 something. I don't know exactly what the link is, but I could send it to that person if they do want to do that. But I think it is kind of in your video settings to make it autoplay.
Gotcha. A lot of comments in the chat window in terms of, especially from those people that manage the social media pages, on this information being great information. As I mentioned to the people on the call, if you missed anything, I saw a lot of people leaning in and looking at the slides. This video will be up on YouTube. Morgan, if you wouldn't mind sending me like the links on that page and stuff like that, when I send a link to the video on YouTube to the people that were on the call today, I'll also include that information directly to them. And of course, your contact information, because I imagine many of the people on the call today say, okay, who can I hire to help me with this? So we obviously appreciate Central Florida Media Group for sharing a lot of your knowledge today, and the many businesses that are members of the chamber that help their clients navigate this, because most of our small businesses are really good at being a small business in their area, but having that extra arrow in their quiver of the partnerships that they can create with marketing agencies around the community helps a lot.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's virtual Lunch and Learn. Again,